Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Shri Radharikanta ki, Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, all glories to the Assembly of the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskritya, Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Deving Saraswati Vyasam, Saraswati Vyasam, Tato Jayam Udiriye. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sunyavade Paskya Chade Satadine. So we're reading from text 32 in chapter 4 of Canto 3, and the chapter is Vidura approaches Maitreya. The first, we have it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot better now.
Is it?
Not background. So everybody can see.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We're getting better all the time. Evam Tri Loka Kuruna Evam Triloka Kuruna Santishta Sabda Yonina Santishta Sabda Yonina Balarashrama Asadya Balarashrama Asadya Harim Ijay Samadina Harim Ijay Samadina Evam Triloka Guruna Sandishta Sabda Jonina Pradashrama Asadja Harim Ijay Harim, is that an EJ or TJ?
EJ.
Harim EJ Samadhina Evam Triloka Guru Evam Triloka Guruna Santishta Sabda Jonina Badarashramas Asajja Harim EJ Samadhina
Evam Triloka Guruna Sandishta Shabdayonina Bhadrashravam Asadya
Rashram Asajja
Harim EJ Samadhina
Evam Triloka Garuna
Evam Triloka Guruna
Sanishta Sabdayonina
Sabdishta Sabdijonina
Barayashram Asadya
Baladashram Asajja
Harimije Samadina
Harim EJ Samadhina
Evam Triloka Guruna
Evam Triloka Guruna
Sandishta Sabdajonina
Sandishta Sabdajonina Ashram Asajja Harim EJ Samadhina Evam Triloka Guruna Sandishta Sabdajonina Baladashram Asajja Harim EJ Samadhina. Are we good? Oh, no Prishni. Oh, she's always got something nice to say. So, anyway, word for word. Evam, thus, Triloka, three worlds. Guruna, by the spiritual master. Sandishta, being perfectly taught. Sabda Jonina, by one who is the source of all Vedic knowledge. Badar Ashrama, in the pilgrimage site of Badarik Ashram. Asajja, reaching. Harim, unto the Lord. EJ, satisfied. Samadhina, by trance. So the translation is, Sukadev Goswami informed the king that Uddhava, being thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage site of Badarik Ashram and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. So I just feel it's saying Sukadev Goswami informed the king. So is this Sukta Goswami speaking? No, it says Sukadev Goswami informed the king. So it's not him speaking. Well, somebody's telling us what he said.
Possibly.
So I think it's gone back to Sutta.
Yes, possibly.
Okay. So please repeat. Sukadev Goswami informed the king that Uddhava, being thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's the source of all Vedic knowledge, and the spiritual master of the three worlds, reached the pilgrimage site of Badarik Ashram and engaged himself there in trance to satisfy the Lord. The purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So, Lord Sri Krishna is factually the spiritual master of the three worlds. And He's the original source of all Vedic knowledge. It is very difficult, however, to understand the personal feature of the Absolute Truth, even from the Vedas. His personal, and the Vedas is not just like the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. There's the Sama, Rig, Artava, and Yajur Veda. So, and they talk about all kinds of other things, you know, charities and karma kanda and how the different castes are set up. It's all very. It's a owner's guide to the universe and human society. His personal instructions are needed in order to understand the personality of Godhead as the supreme absolute truth. Bhagavad Gita is the evidence of such transcendental knowledge and gist. One cannot know the Supreme Lord unless one is graced by the Lord himself. Lord Krishna exhibited this specific mercy towards Arjuna and Uddhava while he was in the material world. Undoubtedly, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to encourage Arjuna to fight. And yet, to complete the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructed Uddhava. The Lord wanted Uddhava to fulfill his mission and disseminate knowledge which he had not spoken even in Bhagavad Gita. Persons who are attached to the words of the Vedas may also know from this verse that the Lord is the source of all Vedic knowledge. One who is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by going through the pages of the Vedas may take shelter of one of the Lord's devotees, such as Uddhava, in order to advance further in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahma Samhita says that it is very difficult to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedas, but he is easily understood from a pure devotee like Uddhava. Taking mercy on the great sages who lived in Badarikashram, the Lord authorized Uddhava to speak on his behalf. Unless one has such authorization, one cannot understand or preach the devotional service of the Lord. There's still 2 more paragraphs, but just 2 points here I want to make, if you don't mind. That Arjuna and Uddhava, they are very close associates of the Lord, and they're confidential associates. And as a matter of fact, Uddhava, sometimes Krishna goes to him for counsel, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was asking, what do you think? Should we do the Rajasuya sacrifice? I mean, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he has these... And so they have a relationship that's mixed with friendship and awe and reverence. These are not... Like when we say friendship, what's the Sanskrit word for friendship? Sakya rasa. We all generally immediately think coward boys. But here, Arjuna and Uddhava are friends with Krishna. But their relationships are different. The point I'm trying to make is there is no carbon. It's not like just a cookie cutter. Yeah, carbon copy. It's just that everyone has unique, individual, personal relationships with the Lord that no one else has. So there's never any real reason for envy. We all have special qualities, special talents that no one else has, and we can serve Krishna in a way that's pleasing to him that no one else can. They may be in a similar mood, but not the same. We're all unique, and we're all important to Krishna. Every single one of us. And so, the interesting part about Uddhava is also, I wanted to make this point, is that he's one of the few of those people from Dwarka and Mathura, other than, say, Akura, who actually, as far as to my knowledge, went to Vrindavan and saw how the gopis and Nanda Maharaj lived. Not at the same time that Krishna was there, but he was there in a Baba form. But now Akura's situation was he came to take Krishna away, and he saw the deep. Mother Jasoda comes charging after the chariot, if I'm remembering correctly. She comes charging after that chariot. This is a mother whose son is being taken away from her. Actually, he's still quite young. I mean, what is he, 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that at that point? Or are they as old as 12? They're not that old.
11 years old.
He was 11 years old. So he's taking him away, and he's taking him to deal with Kamsa, who's the most powerful Asura, who's been sending all these other Asuras. And he has a plan, a trap, to kill her 2 boys. And Rohini's the other mother of Balaram. But to them it's the same. And they're grabbing and no. And they will take some food with you. And then the gopis, they're standing, blocking the horses. And the horses are getting upset. You know, and Akura's like in the middle of this, all these women coming at him, yelling at him. Stop this. You're not taking Krishna from us. So his relationship wasn't quite the same. His reception was not quite. As a matter of fact, he was then cursed by the gopis, and he paid a price for it later. But he's also, I mean, he came on the behest of Kamsa, but he wasn't in on Kamsa's plan. He knew what it was, but he was a devotee of Krishna. And then on the way back, they get to stop at a river to bathe, and Krishna and Balaram bathe, and then Kura goes, and they stay in the chariot, and he goes to bathe, and then he sees Krishna and Balaram, he's just left them, and he sees them there, in the river. So then he goes back to the chariot to see, and they're sitting there, smiling. So he goes back to the river, and now he sees, instead of Krishna and Balaram, he sees Mahavishnu and Sankarshan. I mean, Anantasesha. And it's like, I mean, Mahavishnu's lying on the bed of Anantasesha, and he's glorifying the Lord. Those hoods, he's completely dumbstruck. He's just, and he loses track of time. He's offering prayers, and as a matter of fact, his prayers are, of the different people that of the 9 different processes of devotional service, Akura is the one that attained perfection through prayers. So Prabhupada always said, in the beginning we don't know how to pray. You should study the prayers of people like Akura, Prahlad Maharaj, various very famous devotees on how they pray. And then you can even practice their prayers, but then you have to learn from that the mood and your own personal realization. So he comes back to see Krishna and Balaram, and they're sitting there very calmly. And he's like, and they think, well, what's wrong, Akura? Have you seen something unusual? And he's like that, Now, but Nandamara, I mean, when Uddhava goes, like I discussed last week, he goes to see Nanda Maharaj, and he sees, he sees how absorbed they are in Krishna's pastimes and their memories of him and how much they love him. And then he meets the gopis, and their love is just, he's never seen such love and devotion. So, and then he comes back, because of this, he gets. And Krishna appreciates his service, and he doesn't misuse his position. He becomes even more attached to Krishna, has more respect for Krishna, and therefore becomes even more confidential. So much so that he's the last person that Krishna talks to, and he expands upon the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And it says here, now this is the part I was kind of interested in. I thought about it this morning when I read it again, that how the Christians say, I am the way, the truth, and the light. No one reaches the Father save through me. Which is true. And if they say that Jesus is God, then why is he saying, no one reaches my Father except through me? What does that mean? I have a Father. I'm his Son. I'm his perfect Son. And I can teach you about him. You have to listen to my instructions. And what does that remind us of? It reminds us of just approach a self-realized soul, just try to learn the truth, he can teach you about the absolute truth because he has seen the truth. You should render service and inquire from him submissively. It's basically the same point, that you cannot directly approach God. You have to, Uddhava can, Arjuna can. We're not, but we can go through pure devotees. And that's what it says in the Bhagavad Gita, that we have to approach the bona fide spiritual master, inquire submissively, not challenging, and render service. And that knowledge will be revealed. They can speak to you and you can hear it and get realizations, but by doing the service, it becomes more and more revealed through the purification process. So that's what I found interesting, that because here he specifically says, taking mercy on the great sages who lived in Badarik Ashram, the Lord authorized Uddhava to speak on his behalf. So he's an authorized messenger, representative. He's empowered to tell them what he's heard from Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead. So he is, just as we see Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's bona fide disciples who can speak on his behalf. Unless one has such authorization, one cannot understand or preach the devotional service of the Lord. So I just thought there was a kind of interesting parallel between Christianity and this purport. So now, while present on... Does anyone have anything to say? Question?
I did want to put in when Uddhava went, when Akrura went to the river or whenever he saw
Mahavishnu and
Mahavishnu and
yeah.
Sesha, that alongside were the Gandharvas and the demigods
Exactly.
from all the topmost planets, and they were
Someone's
all
been reading.
basically.
Yeah, that's a good big point. That, and I'm glad you reminded me, because that is one of my favorite parts of the whole story. They're not alone. The Kumaras are there. All these demigods are there. I think Narada Muni, and they're all glorifying the Lord. They're all there in the river. And that's the thing is that you see, every now and then Krishna gives, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 11th canto, 11th chapter, that Krishna gave. Arjuna says, "I would like to see the universal form." And he says, you can't see it with this eye, with these eyes. I'm going to give you divine eyes so that you can see this form that no one else before has seen. And it's too much for him. And he said, please, no, that's enough. I just want to see you in the original two-hand form. I can't. This is too... And he sees that Krishna's expanded everywhere, and everyone is rushing into him like moths to the flame. And but you have, just as at this moment, we have eyes that can see a marble statue. And I hate to say that, but it's a deity. But we don't have the eyes yet, or the ears, or the love, actually, that they will speak to us. And it's very conceivable that by performing bhakti yoga, sadhana bhakti, that the deity will talk to you. It's very real. And they're actually, but we are in another dimension yet. Our eyes are still covered. They're not smeared with the salve of love at this point. Maybe somebody here is, and they're not speaking up, but I know I'm not. So, while present on this earth, the Lord executed many uncommon activities, even traveling in space to bring down the Parijata from the heaven and recovering the son of his teacher, Sandipana Muni, from the regions of death. Uddhava was certainly informed of the conditions of life on other planets, and all the sages were anxious to know of them, just as we are anxious to know about the planets in space. Uddhava was particularly deputed to carry a message to Badarik Ashram, not only to the sages of that place of pilgrimage, but also to the Narayan deities, and it says deities such a message must have been more confidential than the knowledge described in the pages of the Vedas. Krishna's given him confidential knowledge and an explanation to the sages and to his partial expansion, Narayan. I mean, I'll get back to this. Anyway, the Lord is undoubtedly the source of all knowledge, and the messages dispatched through Uddhava to Narayan and other sages were also part of the Vedic knowledge, but they were more confidential and could be sent or understood only through such a pure devotee as Uddhava. Since such confidential knowledge, and that means that Uddhava realized this knowledge. He can't just repeat the words without any realization. And they can understand from him. Because Krishna is empowering him. Because Krishna, as you were saying in the class on Sunday, he has the qualities that Krishna has and that Krishna is attracted to. So, since such confidential knowledge was known only to the Lord and Uddhava, it is said that Uddhava was as good as the Lord himself. Every living entity can, like Uddhava, also become a confidential messenger on the same level as the Lord, provided he becomes confidential himself by dint of loving devotional service. Such confidential knowledge is entrusted, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only to pure devotees like Uddhava and Arjuna. One has to learn the mystery through them and not otherwise. One cannot understand Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam without the help of such confidential devotees of the Lord. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that confidential message must have concerned the mystery of his departure, Krishna's departure that is, and the annihilation of his dynasty after the end of his appearance in the mundane world for 100, it says 100 years, but I understand it's 125 years. And it's not that Prabhupada's made a mistake, by the way. So everyone must have everyone must have been very anxious to know about the mystery of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, and that message must have been explained by the Lord to Uddhava and dispatched to Badarik Ashram for the information of Narayan and other pure devotees of the Lord. So there's no high-speed internet. There's no cell phones. There's no radio or telegraphs. Whatever. There's no smoke messages. That used in certain places. This is all based on Sabda Brahman, spiritual sound vibration from a qualified person, and he's delivering it to other qualified persons. And so it's very important, especially now we see in our society, we have so many ways to communicate, and very rapidly. But what are we communicating? And more. It's all under the phrase of Prajalpa. But some of this Prajalpa is also, hurting us. And I mean, it's all hurting us. But, we have to make sure that we consider the source of our information, even in mundane affairs. But the main thing is it's all just Prajalpa. Yes?
I'm sorry, but I always think that when I'm on the internet, it's all mental speculation, because one person will say, you need sunscreen. The other one says, don't block the sun, it's healthy. And no one can agree on anything.
No. Yeah, as a matter of fact.
No matter what it is, no matter what subject.
Yeah, actually, I just saw something.
Always find the contrary opinion.
Exactly, yeah.
But they really don't know.
Good point. I mean, I just saw that there's a law in Hawaii that if you come, they check your baggage, and if you have this one type of sunscreen that has this one chemical, they ban it because if you go into the water, it's going to, they take it away from you because it's killing the coral reef. And, yeah, but
What's it doing to you?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
Exactly. So, and why is the sun bad for us? But maybe because of what we've done to the atmosphere with our, exploitation of the material resources that Krishna provided us. So,
Yeah, or it might just be, Westerners are really attached to super hot baths. And I know when I was looking at Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, you see all these Indians in the midday sun, and they seem fine. You don't really hear about them getting skin cancer.
yeah, but they have a we have a more
They're always putting oil on their bodies.
but
Coconut
They
oil.
have, coconut's very cooling. They know.
And it's a natural sunscreen.
That's, yeah.
but I used to think it's because we have because of the shade of our skin. But even I think it was Bhakti Tirtha Swami.
No, yeah.
He died of melanoma.
Yeah, Indians say cold bath. I'm talking about the villagers, the normal, the unwesternized people.
Well, what
Yeah, oil and things like that they use all the time. In America, I never thought of that. Except to go in the sun.
so there were some other things I was thinking of right now. I don't cut you, but the point is the Lord the Lord said told Uddhava that when I was here on the earth, I was here for 125 years. Now the demigods like Brahma and Shiva who came to me initially to come and alleviate the burden on the earth of these asuras, I've done that. And while here, I visited Sutala, the lower regions, and give blessings to Bali Maharaj because he retrieved the dead sons of Devaki. He also gave a darshan down to Varuna when he saved his father. He, by satisfying Sandipani Muni, his guru, and Krishna went to a Gurukula. After he'd already done so many things, his parents wanted to treat Vasudeva and Devaki wanted to treat him. After he kills Kamsa and all these other demons, they send him to a Gurukula to get Gayatri mantra and to get all, and the things that they teach him is fascinating. All the languages, even the languages of the animals.
He's teaching everything.
Everything, exactly. How to, paint pictures and, soil composition, how to, what's good soil. So many things.
Architecture.
Yeah, things that are actually of value. And the other thing is that we're talking about, so I want my son to grow up and be a great success. Like I had this experience in Tennessee where they were this Indian couple, very, very nice devotees. They were having 30th or 40th anniversary or something. And all their friends came and everything. And they every Friday night for, 30 years, they have Radha Natabar deities, which means they're dancing. There's only 3 of them in America, and they were made at New Vrindavan. They have one of those. And so every Friday night they have a Bhagavad Gita class and kirtan. Sannyasis, all the gurus and sannyasis come there to visit. So anyway, I'm talking to this woman, one of their friends, and I forget how it came around to our sons, and she said, and I felt like I was talking to one of my Long Island friends or Italian or Jewish mothers, and the way she said it, she said, you know what my son does? You know what my son does? He's a comedian. He thinks he's funny. His father and I, we worked so much that his father died early. to save and put him through school, he became an engineer. He has a good job there in Huntsville, Alabama with NASA. He's a big-time engineer. He comes home one day and he says, Mama, I'm not happy. I said, what do you mean? You have a good job. You got a nice place. Everything we worked so hard to get you in this position. He said, no, I'm not happy. I want to be a comedian. She goes, yeah, I'm not kidding. You can go see him at the, she named some club, some ridiculous, like the Laugh Factory or something, but it was something funnier sounding than that. Yeah, you can see him. He's at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. Funny man. He thinks he's very funny, but in other words, we want the best for everybody, and you have to work really hard to become successful as a PhD in engineering or IT or, become a doctor, become a constitutional lawyer, whatever you think is really important, marine biologist or save the environment. But none of it is all pale in comparison to the fact that your son or daughter becomes a pure devotee, a self-realized soul. And just as it takes a tremendous amount of sacrifice, a tremendous amount of work and discipline, confirmed, to achieve these goals. Oh, I want to become the best comedian. I want to become the best movie star. I want to become a famous singer. I want to write songs. A great dancer. All of these things all require discipline, and all of them leave you with an emptiness at the end of your life. So what more will it take to become a pure devotee? We know the process, but it's a simple process, but it's not easy. It requires a tremendous amount of discipline and determination. You have to actually really desire. I want to be an associate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how I can do that is to please my spiritual master. I want to hear Krishna's voice. I want to hear his flute. Not that I want to hear the applause and laughter of my audience. Or have a big bank balance. Anyway, I've said enough. Anything else? So, yes.
Like you're saying that, it's like all our material endeavors, unless we're dovetailing them, to serve Krishna, they're so dry.
That's right.
They're so dissatisfying, and my daughter, she went to school to become an engineer, and she's good at her job. They're always promoting her, they're always giving her, the opportunity to advance. But all she wants to do is just get her into that job. She's happy that she has it. It pays off her school bill, it pays her bills, and things like that.
And she's working during this pandemic.
But she's not, tasting that nectar.
But you can, it's not like I'm saying you should not have an education and you should not be a functionally part of this society. But right now, also, it's really incumbent on the leaders of this movement to start encouraging people to take seriously Prabhupada's instructions about agrarian lifestyle.
Definitely.
And we, in our Western culture, look down on it. I would try to talk, and I had just been through Katrina, I had a successful business, and Katrina, and so many other endeavors, and then I go back to Tennessee at Murari, and I start trying to talk to these doctors and engineers, and they're all very successful, and they said, you can't expect us to go back to the village. We've already come from the village. I said, well, can you at least appreciate us? And then when you start to see the beginnings of the crumbling of this Western industrialized...
Definitely. There's a big divide in our nation that's forming.
Yeah, so I had a disconnect with these people.
And they say that when you're divided, you can't stand, so it's a matter of time until some other country or something infiltrates that divide.
Exactly.
It's going to happen.
It
Yeah.
has to really come organically, like position.
No, you can't force it. It has to
In that
come.
position, everyone has their dharma.
Mode of goodness.
You know, but, you know, even mode of goodness, you know, I mean, if you're not a farmer, you're not gonna be a farmer.
Yeah.
You can see some farmers, they're, you know, just like natural, like Shastra,
Yeah.
Varaha,
Yeah.
you know.
Varaha and the Shringa.
These
Wow.
people, you know, and they've been doing it for
But
a
you
long
can work
time.
under farmers, right?
You can apprentice under them. You can
And
apprentice.
support them.
Or even like the doctors, you know, as Western doctors, Ayurveda, you were getting herbs from the farm, you're getting, you know, they could
Right.
learn to do more natural kind of healing.
But I had one point was talking with one of the like GBC, two of them, and I was saying we have all these Prabhupada disciples here now and other people, and maybe it's a good time to start talking about the importance of these communities. And I'm not a farmer, but I have been involved with Murari Sevak and had to deal with their bills and so